Alright, so these are all the nail guns that I own for carpentry, and I'm going to take some time to go through every single one of these, let you know why I bought it, what it's for, and more importantly, share my thoughts on what guns here are actually good and worth buying, and which ones are just a waste of money. Alright, so starting on this side of the table, we firstly got all the Hikoki guns that I own. At the front here, this is the Gen 1 fixie nail gun, and next to it I've got the first generation framing nail gun as well. And I bought both of these in a combo kit about 2 years ago. When I was using them, I was pretty happy with the fixing gun. It's a nice gun, it works alright, didn't have too many misfires, not many issues with that at all. The framing nail gun though, was a bit more disappointing. And I've actually done a couple videos on this, and it was okay, there's not too much wrong with it, but it did have a fair few flaws, and I did use it for a few months, and then after that, because of the flaws it had, I stopped using it. One of the biggest flaws is firstly with the teeth there, there's only one aggressive top tooth, meaning when you're shooting it, you can't really shoot it on this angle here. You really got to angle it down and shoot it back in that way. That was one of the biggest issues with this gun. The other issue is how unevenly balanced it is. All the weight in this gun is towards the front of it, so I'm holding it right now and it just wants to pull down forward, so it's quite hard to hold that gun up and really hold it up all day if you're using it. Now we're just going to skip through to the second gen framing gun, and you can straight away see the differences in the designs. The second gen is a lot longer, and that gun goes further back past the handle. And the reason they've done that is so that when you hold the gun, it is evenly balanced and it's not leaning forward, so you can actually easily hold it up. And I've had no issues using this for a long period of time. We've also got an improvement in those teeth as well. Which means that we can also shoot it down on an angle like that. And that becomes really handy when you're doing posies, when you need to get in there against the upright and shoot on that angle. Now this is a brand new one that I've recently just got for a big head-to-head video I'm going to be doing soon on battery framing nail guns. That's why this one looks so clean, but I did previously have another Gen 2 framer the same as this one, and I've got to say that this has been the best battery framer I've used yet. There's a couple we're going to get to that I've just recently bought and haven't used yet, so I'm not saying this with confidence that it's the best in the market, it's just the best out of the ones that I've used. Now moving down from that framer, we've got a 16 gauge finish nailer. I've enjoyed using this one, I haven't had a lot of use out of it. You can see there's a few similarities of that second gen framer where that gun is really nicely balanced. It's a very lightweight gun too, and below it is that 15 gauge finish nailer. It's the same setup, but that body's running back past the handle so you can easily pick that up and use it. This one I've used a fair bit more, and I've really enjoyed using it. And I actually really like the nose of this gun too. You've just got that point there where you're going to press down to shoot a nail, opposed to this big hook that you got with the first gen fixer. I find it a bit more awkward trying to line that up and get a nail to shoot exactly where you want it, especially if you're shooting at the side of an architrave and you need that to be precise. It's not as easy to get that nail exactly where you want it compared to the setup we've got on the second gen fixer. And the last gun we've got over here has the exact same body as that first gen framer. This is Hikoki's PPN. Because it's got that same body as the first gen framer, it is quite big. The weight isn't evenly distributed, it's a bit heavy and awkward to use. But as a PPN gun, it works really well. If you haven't heard of PPN guns, what they do is you push that little tip there, that nose, into the hole of a joist hanger or a triple grip, and it shoots just a small nail directly into the hole. So it's really good for shooting off your hardware. I haven't used it as much as I would like to. Apart from the gun being heavy and awkwardly weighted, I do like it though, and I'd love to see this gun come out with that Gen 2 body. Alright, so we make our way across. Firstly, we've got AEG's limited edition framer here. So that is exactly the same as the typical framer, which we'll get to in a second, which is over there. They're exactly the same. All AEG have done is gone through and changed the color so they're all black. So they've done that for the framer, they've done it for the fixing nailer as well, and that's just a little, limited edition hype thing the brand's done to try to sell some more tools. Now this exact gun here, I haven't used a lot of this one. I've actually used a fair bit of just their regular colored AEG framer. And when this came out, when I got it about 2 years ago, it was at the same time I was using Hikoki's Gen 1 framer, and at that time, I loved the AEG gun. It was probably one of the best battery framing nail guns on the market back then. I used it for a good 6 months, absolutely loved this thing, and it's only recently been replaced by Hikoki's Gen 2 framer. So up until recently, one of the best guns out there, Really love using this thing. The fixing nailer as well. This limited edition one, I haven't used this exact one, but I've used their other one, which we've also got over here. And I'm a big fan of these guns. You can see the same thing with the body running past the handle, meaning that the weight distribution is pretty good. Not as good as a Hikoki Gen 2, but it's still easy enough to use. They've got a great belt hook, a good nose so you can see where you're firing the gun, and I haven't had any issues with this at all. Alright, so if we head down from there, this is my 18 gauge Dewalt brad nailer. I bought this for a specific job I was doing about a year ago, where I wanted to shoot through some boards, just to tack them on before I went through and drilled them. So we're using the 18 gauge nailer, so the nails are as small as possible and we wouldn't see them. It's obviously a nice light tool. It's the only 18 gauge brad nailer I've got, and it does the trick when I need to use it. So I like that little gun. Next to it, we've got Dewalt's 2nd gen framer. I did previously have the 1st gen framer. I actually had 2 of them over my time. One got stolen, and then the second one had such a bad belt hook that it actually fell off my tool belt and broke. And that's actually something a bit interesting with this gun. They have gone through and done a decent belt hook, but they've got it at the top of the gun, which I thought was kind of cool to start with. But then I realized when it's hanging off your tool belt like that, that tooth is hanging down lower and the teeth of the gun scrape against your legs. It's nothing crazy annoying, just a little bit irritating. But we do have that one there, and on the other side we do have your typical rafter hook as well. So I've been using this gun a bit more recently, and it's a bit weird because this one is actually heavier than the 1st gen model. They've made it heavier, with that comes more power, but it just seemed quite heavy to use, and I was having a bit of a nightmare using that and thought it wasn't too good until I went out and bought Makita's framer. Now this one is their 1st gen gun. They were really late to the party, but this one is even heavier. It's quite loud. Look, even though it isn't the worst thing to use, I've actually used it for a few days and I have enjoyed using it up on the roof. I've already been having misfires with it, and the weight of just moving that around has made this Dewalt one feel so much better. With the Dewalt gun, I would have loved for them to have a bottom tooth as well sticking out, just so it's a bit easier to shoot on those really tight angles when you're shooting floor posies. Apart from that though, it's just disappointing that they came out with a heavier, louder gun than the 1st gen one. Yes, it does have a bit more power behind it, but the upgrade from this gun to the last one isn't good enough to really justify coming out with a 2nd gen gun. Unlike Hikoki's one, their 2nd gen gun just blew the competition away. Hikoki just weren't able to do that. Now, next up, we've got Metabo's framing nail gun. This thing looks pretty clean because it is fresh out of the box. I haven't even powered this thing up yet, and same as the Milwaukee one behind it. I haven't used this one either. These two are the only 2 guns here that are fresh out of the box that I haven't used yet. I've only got them on the table now because, as I said before, I'm pretty close from doing a big head-to-head video on all these battery nail guns, trying to find the best ones out there. So I can't comment on these yet, except for just the looks of them. They both look great. Milwaukee looks like it's really evenly balanced. It's got a good belt hook. It's got a shit tooth though. It doesn't have that bottom tooth, so there's no way you're skewing on any angles like that at all. It's probably the worst one I've seen. Looks like it's exactly the same with that tooth as well. Alright, so for these guns here, right at the front, we've got Paslode's framing nail gun. This isn't their most recent version of the gun. I don't know if I actually will get the most recent version. What I've heard is that Paslode actually had a patent on the gas they're using, and no other companies could make it, so Paslode was selling that for quite a high price, and that was bringing in a lot of money for them. Conveniently, that ran out when their new framer came out. So that patent ran out, other brands started making the gas for a lot cheaper, meaning it was actually reasonable to use this gun. You weren't getting ripped off every time you had to buy gas, and now they've came out with a brand new model, and of course they had to change the size and the shape of the gas so no other company could make them, and they've patented that one again, and that's one of the big driving forces of the new gun. I've looked into it a little bit. It does look like it does come with some upgrades, some improvements, but the only downside of using Paslode tools is how expensive it is to buy their gases and just maintain the guns that way. If we weren't looking at the gas though, this is the best framer by a mile on the market. The only thing it can't do that the battery ones can do is just shoot nails really quickly, which is a huge bonus if you're using these ones to lay down flooring and shoot flooring down, build walls, or do anything like that. With these guns, we've got the 2 AEG ones at the back here. We looked into those, so we'll leave them there. We've got the Makita one that we touched on. At the back here, we've got Ryobi's framing nail gun. This one actually has a lot of similarities to AEG's gun. They're owned by the same company, so I reckon they've used a lot of the same components to build these guns together. In saying that, Milwaukee is owned by the same company as well, but the Milwaukee gun looks quite different to the AEG and Ryobi. So I'm guessing they've done their own design for this one, and then for AEG and Ryobi's one, maybe the same team were working on both of these, and there's a lot of parts that look identical between the two of them. Now right here is Paslode's PPN. Does the same thing that Hikoki's PPN gun does, and you've got that little tooth there that you put into the hull of hardware, and it shoots your nail in for you. I've really enjoyed using this gun. The only reason I don't really use it that much is because of the gas. It just gets really expensive, and most of the people I'm working for aren't paying for that gas. I'd rather me just use a coil gun or use hand nails if we can't use the coil guns, which is a shame because it is such a great tool. And that's why I think if Hikoki upgrade their gun to that Gen 2 model, it's going to completely write off this gun. It's going to be a heaps cheaper gun to use, and it's going to make doing joist hangers and triple grips so much better. The other Paslode gas gun we've got here is their Coil Master. And this one is a similar story to the PPN. It's a good tool, except, yeah, you need to get that gas, and it gets really expensive to run. The other thing is it's not super quick. I've got my Bostitch coil gun over here, and this is my pneumatic gun, and when you're shooting coils with this gun, you can go as quick as you can move it. It shoots super quick, really easy and convenient to use if you're doing ply sheeting or anything like that. If you're doing weatherboards and you're going a little bit slower, that's when you might have the use for the Coil Master. But with the cost of the gas, I always just feel like it's better to set up a compressor and get this girl out instead. You're not wasting any money, and the gun itself is just as good, if not better, than the Coil Master. Back here is a gun I haven't used for a while. This is what I was using when I was doing a lot of fixes, and it's my pneumatic Brad Nailer. Once again, being on an air hose, it just went super quick. So if I was doing skirting boards, I could just run through a house, shoot those nails in very quickly. Didn't have to worry about going too quick with the nails when it go all the way in. And the last one here is a gun that we aren't even going to worry about. I bought it when I was buying all of the Zito tools, my main channel, and it is as average as you'd expect in a Zito gun to be.